focus on this morning. We're also developing these initiatives through the Enhancing Business Dialogue and Cooperation in the Services Sector project, which is co-financed by the European Commission, which you've heard about also this morning. It's now this area which I want to sort of focus my attention. The services sector grew by 6.8% in 2011 and currently comprises about 58.6% of Malaysia's gross domestic product. The services sector remained the largest contributor to growth, with a contribution of 3.4% to overall GDP growth in 2011 and employing some 53.3% of Malaysia's total workforce. The expansion of productivity in this sector was led by the communications, utilities, transport and storage subsectors. This panel today will aim to discuss the current steps in enhancing European Union and Malaysia trade. It is recognised that improvements in the services sector will greatly improve the efficiency not only in those particular services sectors but also in the manufacturing industries, and is therefore absolutely important to Malaysia. We'll also review mechanisms to integrate Malaysian companies into the regional global networks and position the services sector as a major source of growth. The panel will share individually how companies can strengthen the efficiency and competitiveness of their respective sectors and the progressive liberalisation involved in the services sector to create a more competitive business operating environment for the future. So, obviously the Asian Economic Community, we heard about this before the break. How will this then impact the trade between Malaysia and the position to gateway in Asia and so on, and we want to cover that. So, I've already, if you like, I've already introduced the panel, and so without further ado, I'd like to now hand over the floor to Mr. Phang here, who's the Deputy Chief Executive Officer, number 2 for MIDA, to make his remarks. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much, David, for inviting MIDA to be part of this event. First and foremost, I would like to, it is one area, especially in Malaysia, where it is still a big challenge. Unlike the manufacturing sector, which we have been promoting for the last 45 years. And over the 45 years, things have changed so much, from being a very restrictive sector to now you can have 100% foreign-owned equity participation. Now, if you look at the current contribution of the sector of origin to GDP, the services sector, as Dato mentioned, last year contributed 58% to GDP. Manufacturing sector, about 27%. The primary sector, agriculture, about 8%. Mining, mostly in oil and gas, about 7%. And construction, 3%. So you see from there, actually we are very fortunate. Malaysian economy is very diversified in that sense. Now, and what is more important is we have set a goal, by 2020, the contribution of the services sector will hit 65%. In other words, there will be a readjustment in terms of the contribution to GDP. Most likely, the manufacturing sector will come to probably about 20% or even less. But if you look at, again here, compare all these figures to developed countries. That is what it is if you want to become a developed country, where the services sector will contribute more than 70% to GDP. Now, the various measures that we have, or the government have taken to liberalize the services sector over the last 2.5 years. First, we have the 27 sub-sector. In the last budget, another 17 sector that comes to 44 sector have in fact helped investment into the services sector. Now, again here, if you take a comparison, investment in this manufacturing sector, 60% of it will come from foreign investment, 40% will be domestic investment. Like last year figure, 846 projects, 56 billion. 60% is foreign investment, 40% is domestic investment. But for the services sector, last year approval of about 4,000 projects, the investment of 64 billion. 85% is domestic, 15% is foreign In fact, it is higher. If you go backward another 3-4 years, foreign investment portion is only 11%, whereas the domestic portion is about 90%. So we are wondering, why, it is so skewed towards domestic investment. And the reason was quite obvious. Number one is because there are restrictions as far as foreign participation is concerned in the services sector. It's still required in many sectors, 30% at least. Allowing only 30% foreign equity participation. Majority will still be in the local investment. The other factor is it is not as incentivized as the manufacturing sector. If you look at the manufacturing sector, almost every sector is a promoted activity. And you come to MIDA, you will get very generous incentive, 5 years, 10 years, some even 15 years, and they continue to negotiate on this manufacturing company. Some that have been here for 30 years probably have not paid a single cent. But they innovate and modernize and upgrade their facility. And that's the reason why, in that sense, it is very attractive for manufacturing sector. And then you come to the services sector, things are quite different. There are not so many incentives. Now that is because many of the services sector in this country are still very fragmented. And that's the reason why now, with this liberalization going on, we want to be more focused. Even in MIDA now, we have a services division or section. When we first started promoting Malaysia, we look at MIDA just as an agency, a principal government agency responsible for the promotion and coordination of industrial development. In 2004, we have assumed the additional function to promote the services sector, which are related to manufacturing, and hence, now we are promoting regional establishment, operational headquarters, international procurement center, regional distribution center, international logistics center, and of course, RAC office and regional offices. Now, apart from that, if you look at the liberalization that have been announced by the government, especially the 17 sectors in the last budget, ranging from telecommunication, private education, international school, professional services, including accountancy, engineering, architecture. It is now quite clear, for us, to promote. Although some of the laws and acts need to be amended to suit the current condition. So it's not just this liberalization that's going on. Of course, there is the ASEAN framework, on agreement on services. It's also part of what we are doing. And in 2050, most of these sectors will be further liberalized. So with the environment, the landscape that we are working on, we hope we will be able to make the investment in the services sector, especially foreign participation, to be more positive. Because when we talk about foreign investment today, investment coming from EU, about 25% in total. Most of the investment are actually in the manufacturing sector, not so much in the services sector. And we want to draw more on foreign direct investment. We need to continue to focus on the services sector. So that's the reason why we are doing that, to create that environment, to make things easier, and also to incentivize the services sector to be more attractive compared to other countries in the region.
Mr. Phang, thank you very much indeed. That's very interesting comments made there, and no doubt we'll obviously explore those as we go into the panel discussion. Okay, my left, I'm very pleased to introduce Dato Asa Mohamed, who is actually the co-chair of the National Export Promotion Council for Professional Services. And without further ado, I'd hand over the floor to Dato Asa.
Thank you, David. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. thought it was an opportunity for me to actually present to you the state of affairs. It was quite enlightening that the earlier speaker presented the issues that we have about how Malaysia stands as far as the liberalization of the services sector at the WTO. Perhaps people do not understand really, the actual limitations that we have in terms of professional services provision. In 1997, when there was a financial crisis, the government decided to change its course. And the course is to look at services. And when they look at services, as what Mr. Phang said earlier, that it is a very important sector. But somehow or other, within that services sector, there is this thing called professional services, which has been neglected and overlooked all this while. And all the time we knew for a fact that all the industries would not have flourished without the provisions of services by the professionals. And we have sidelined them. So it was decided that perhaps we should bring them up, make them more visible, and get them more active, and hence we formed the Professional Services Development Corporation, and along with it the National Professional Services Export Council. Because we found that majority of services from Europe, from US, they contribute more than 50% in terms of professional services into their actual GDP. The US, for example, they have services up to 80% of GDP. We have 50%. Earlier, Mr. Pascal presented Malaysia had 33% contribution of export of services in the services sector. But don't forget, we import about 35 billion, right? Instead of 33 billion which we are supposed to export. So there is an imbalance there. So NAPSEC was formed in order to promote the visibility and encourage Malaysian professionals to go overseas. And they have done so in a small way. They are in Dubai, they are in China, everywhere. And when we went to all these places, we found there are a lot of domestic limitations. Right? It is the same in Europe. I'm the first vice president of the National Union of Architects. In Europe itself, within the states, they have limitations. You cannot just walk into Greece and practice. You got to be a Greek or a resident. This is the fact. And we have found our ways to WTO through our connections with Ben Honig, who is actually a member of the Secretariat. And we made a presentation, and only now they realized in 2009 when we made a presentation that the importance of domestic regulations. And a lot of these things have been put under the carpet when they come to the negotiating table in WTO. I remember when I negotiated in 2003 with EU, and I told them, the negotiators, look, are you aware there is such thing as the International Union of Architects, which is a court of professional practice, international professional practice, which has been adopted by 130 countries. Right? This is not okay. As far as we are concerned, we want Malaysia to open up and liberalize and allow people to move in. At the International Union, I'm in charge of mobility, because I, for one, want to encourage mobility, because there's only a way for us to network and also to improve our capacities, right, in order for us to be able to export. You mentioned just now, Mr. Phang, quite correctly, why is it there is so much investment in services domestically? For one simple reason, because we are only local consumption. We are only focusing on local consumption.